KSL Today starts now.
The semi-truck hit the Santa Quin officer. The Santa Quin officer died at the scene.
Our entire department is hurt, and the family of the officer is hurt because of a senseless act by one individual.
They're in shock, they're devastated.
To honor a fallen officer, we often have a procession.
We have an incredible community.
That community, those in law enforcement in our state, the people of Santa Quin, they're mourning the loss of an officer intentionally hit and killed by a semi-truck driver.
The suspect was taken into custody after a statewide manhunt. The latest on the investigation this morning.
Our entire department is hurt, and the family of the officer is hurt. Because of a senseless act by one individual.
It's a tough morning, a tough day here as we see the reaction from the Santa Quin Police Department after one of its officers is killed in the line of duty.
So here's what we know at this point in their investigation, which is still very active this morning. This all began just before 6 Sunday morning. Dispatch got a call in Richfield about someone standing on the back of a semi-trailer as it was moving on I-15. Police say during the traffic stop, the driver of the semi took off and then flipped around and drove north in the southbound lanes, hitting the Santa Quin officer.
Law enforcement identifying the driver of the semi as 42-year-old Michael Jane. They say he took off from the scene, triggering a manhunt that lasted for several hours across Utah. Police took him into custody near Vernal just before 11:45 yesterday morning. This morning, we are hearing from the brother of that officer.
News specialist Kara Bracken joins us live in Santa Quin near a memorial for the officer. Kara?
Good morning to you both. Yeah, this memorial is right outside of the police department right here in Santa Quin. And just behind me, you can see how loved this officer is in the community. You're seeing bouquets of flowers. There are messages of hope, strength, and just of loss, of being there for this family during this time. Now, our KSL team did speak to the officer's brother, who said he was a hero who made the ultimate sacrifice for others.
Oh, pretty heartbroken. It's hard.
The family has asked we do not share his name until the department officially releases his identity. And the brother did give us permission to share these words commemorating a life of legacy.
Everybody out there listening, if I can give them any advice, it's to hold your loved ones a little tighter.
We are told by the family that the officer leaves behind a wife and 2 kids. The family wants to express their extreme gratitude to the community. For now, though, we are live in Santa Quin. I'm Kara Bracken. I'll send it back to you.
There is a lot of love from across the state, really.
Yeah, thank you, Kara, for that report. And it was a somber scene Sunday as dozens of police cars, emergency vehicles, and officers lined up to escort the body of the fallen officer to the state medical examiner's office in Taylorsville. The procession beginning where the officer died. It is a loss felt deeply by law enforcement who are now stepping in to support his family.
We have family members who will miss their father at their nearing wedding. But I can assure you, we as a police department will stand up and we will be there, and we are one family.
Lieutenant Wall thanked the other agencies in Utah as well as the community for all of their support, asking that we all stand up as one during this difficult time. Another procession will take place this morning at 10 o'clock to bring the officer's body from the medical examiner's office back to Santa Quin.
We've been digging into the suspect's criminal history.
In Utah in 4 years. We've got team coverage of the aftermath and events leading up to the death of Sergeant Hoosier. Mike Hedrick anchoring our team coverage live from Santa Quin. Mike?
There is a lot.
Hospital.
Lieutenant Corey Slaymaker says investigators are still, there's investigations still happening at each one of those locations where Jane stole and crashed one of those vehicles. At last check, he was still in custody in the hospital. Mike, back to you.
All right, Shara, thank you for that break. Shelby, thank you. We mentioned a little bit before, Santaquin Police Department is a small department and about 11, 12 officers on hand. As you can imagine, the last 48 hours, it's been extremely difficult. Some are going to need some time off, and there's been other agencies, police agencies, who have come and said, you know what, we'll take your shifts, we'll help out. Our Lindsay Ertz is following that part of the story for us tonight. Lindsay, this is incredible, the help that they're receiving.
It really is, Mike. And in fact, it's a simple gesture that's really led to all of these shifts being covered. It's a Google Doc created by the Utah County Sheriff's Office, sent out to all the agencies in Utah County, and officers can just sign into that and fill the shifts of these dozen up to 15 officers in the Santaquin Police Department. They also have 2 full-time staff members who are needing help as well. Now, Utah County Sheriff Mike Smith tells me that covering these shifts at a time like this just shows the strong bond between the law enforcement agencies in southern Utah County. One chief said they really look at Utah County as one big jurisdiction. Another said that when events like this happen is when you see that closeness and collaboration put into practice. Now, Sheriff Smith says he meets with the chiefs in his county weekly and once a month in person.
It's important that we're all on the same page because in the end, it's all about providing public safety to our citizens, and criminals, they don't care what city line they cross. They go from city to city, and so we need to be working together to make sure that we're providing the right service.
Now, today we saw officers from Lone Peak, Spanish Fork, Payson, Provo, again, the Sheriff's Office, Utah Highway Patrol, even UVU and BYU here supporting Sergeant Hoosier and his family. And you could really just sense the camaraderie as officers hugged one another after they updated the media. Several agencies also that we spoke with say the loss is hitting them hard. Now, coming up at 6:30, we will have more on what the law enforcement is doing to support the Hoosier family and the Santaquin Police Department during this really difficult time. Mike, I'll send it back over to you.
Lindsay, thank you so much. That is so good to see. And that's been really the neat thing outside the police department here, to see so many people coming up and down here, stepping up to help out. As mentioned a little bit earlier, Santaquin Police Department is not very big. You got about 11 to 12 officers who are working here day in, day out. The last 48 hours have been tough, and to give them a little bit of a break, you have law enforcement agencies from all around who are offering up their help to fill some of these shifts. The specialist Lindsay Ertz now with more.
Yeah, the Utah County Sheriff's Office created a Google Doc so other agencies could sign in and help fill the shifts of the Santaquin Police Department officers and staff so they could have some much needed time off. And several members of law enforcement say it's just one way the law enforcement agencies in southern Utah County work together.
In Utah County, it's one big jurisdiction is how we look at it.
When tragedy strikes, you lean on your family.
And we're all brothers and sisters.
And that's what's happening in Utah County as every police agency in the county now mourns the loss of one of their law enforcement brothers.
It hits us all hard.
In the wake of the tragic death of Sergeant Bill Hoosier, every agency in Utah County is now helping to fill the shifts of the 15 full-time officers and 2 additional civilian staff members of the Santaquin Police Department so they can have a few much-needed days off.
There's a Google Doc that we put out, and officers from around the county can log on to that and sign up.
Utah County Sheriff Mike Smith says it's just one example of the teamwork and closeness of the agencies.
On a daily basis, we work as a team. We stress that. We meet, the chiefs and myself, we meet once a month in person. There's a weekly meeting.
The collaboration, he says, can save lives.
Criminals, they don't care what city line they cross. They go from city to city, and so we need to be working together to make sure that we're providing the right service.
Officers from Lone Peak, Spanish Fork, Payson, Provo, the Sheriff's Office, even BYU and UVU came out to support Sergeant Hoosier and his family today. The camaraderie on display.
Yesterday was an incredibly chaotic day, as Sheriff Smith outlined, that a lot of things happened really quickly. A lot of information needed to be gathered. A lot of information needed to be put out. A lot of resources needed to be collaborated.
That law enforcement family and those relationships not only stopped a suspect from hurting more people.
To be able to identify this really, really dangerous individual that had done something really horrible and making sure he didn't get the opportunity to do that again.
They will also now help to buoy a devastated family.
Just feel their pain and just kind of put our arms around them as one collective community and and just show them how much we love them.
Now, the Utah County Sheriff's Office tells me they've just about filled all the shifts needed so that the Santaquin police officers can have at least through Wednesday off. Again, just another example of this community rallying around the Hoosier family. Reporting in Santaquin for KSL-5 News, I'm Lindsay Ertz.
Great to see that support by other members of law enforcement. Lindsay, thank you. Others also paying their respects to